Dark mission, Hoagland says, and the evidence is pretty clear, that they hypnotically debriefed, is what they call it. But supposedly they were hypnotized to help them enhance their memory and to recall, and apparently some of them had been hypnotically advised not to remember certain things. As much as I admire Ed Mitchell and respect him, tremendous, wonderful guy, he has admitted publicly in front of other people that his time on the moon, walking on the moon, was kind of vague. He can't recall everything. And of course, that's sad. I don't think they ever got to Neil Armstrong, because when he got back, he left the program, said to hell with it, I'm out of here. He went back to Cincinnati and started teaching math at the university there. And Armstrong hasn't said 5 words publicly since.
Uh-huh.
And then you have a case of Aldrin. Now, Aldrin has had experiences where he has been with friends, and the subject would come up, and Buzz would start to cry, or he would get nauseated. One time, and Hoagland touches upon this, I think, chapter 10 in the book, where Aldrin was in conversation with a few people and with his wife, having a few drinks, and it's just kind of relaxed. And somebody asked him a blunt, straight-to-the-point question, and he had to run out and throw up. He got sick. Now this, to me, is a result, and I've studied it enough over the years to know that that sounds to me like hypnotic suggestion.
Mm-hmm.
He has been hypnotically conditioned not to remember or to not even discuss it. And if he gets nauseated, and in the one instance with a bunch of old friends, old flyboy types, he ended up starting to cry. Now this breaks my heart, because Aldrin is a good man. He was one of our better men to be selected for that program.
Mm-hmm.
You know the story, and this is common knowledge. They got back from Apollo 11. They put Aldrin in a sanitarium for about 6 weeks. He was suffering from alcoholism. Do you believe that? Do you believe one of our best and bravest, one of the finest, who in the Apollo program suffered from alcoholism? Nonsense. You know, that apparently it was the programming to be reinforced. Now, why would a grown man with his background break down and cry like a baby, or end up getting nauseous and barf on the subject? That's hypnotic, post-hypnotic stress.
So what is it on the moon that is, that is so important that they want to completely whitewash it out?
Oh my God, there's astronomical societies, the professional astronomers in this country have been guilty of criminal activity. You may quote me. They've been guilty of criminal activity for years to not discuss the reality of what they knew on the moon. There are major facilities and major activities going on the moon all the time. Not only that, the moon has water. Now, whether it's a natural process from the satellite, or whether it's water that's been stored there for use, there are vaporous signs of a form of an atmosphere in the bottom of some of the craters. Now, astronomers have seen these pictures, but that dishonest bunch of nitwits won't discuss it. They're scared because you know why? 90% of their income comes from government grants. And when you've got a government grant, and that's your prime source of income, you're going to say whatever the government says you should say, or don't say whatever the government doesn't want said. Well, anyhow, there's some atmosphere on the moon, at least in the base of several of the larger craters. There is water on the moon, but there is major activity going on. I mean, we're talking about engineering activity. There are giant ships that come and go out of the craters. Mm-hmm. There are lights all the time. They have noticed bridges appearing and then disappearing. I mean, they're active as hell on the moon. But the same activity is going on Mars. Sure. You've seen my photograph, I guess. It's not only my photograph. But there's a city the size of Chicago underground on Mars that's generating so much heat it shows up in infrared photographs.
Are you in touch with John Lear?
I've met John. I've been in his house a time or two. I visited him. I have a tremendous respect for him. The reason I like John is he's been nailed, as I have, as a damn fool maverick, you know?
I mean, this is his pet, project.
The establishment has tried to ridicule John Lear, and you can't ridicule John Lear because he's got sources similar to some of my own that are beyond question. He's getting people inside, feeding him information almost on a regular basis. I get mine in bits and pieces when I go to conferences and when I meet people, But John gets it direct.
Okay, I have a question for you about Arlington Institute and what's happening might be happening in October, because we have a lot of information coming at us about October and about something that may be planned. I don't know if you've heard some of this stuff. We have our top secret witnesses are coming at us saying, that the economy is being engineered to crash here in the U.S.
Oh, this whole thing has been engineered.
All right.
It's been diddled. This is a joke. And the poor guy out there, the poor working man on the street, as it were, is being screwed royally. But, this whole thing, Carrie, I would almost come to a point that 90% of what you call reality are threats with the Russians, the Georgia invasion, the stock market collapse. All of this is all engineered.
So tell us about it. So tell us about Georgia, because, to get back to, I know the guy who's head of, or was head of, the Arlington Institute. They are sending out a newsletter inviting people to tell them what dreams and visions they're having about October, because October has become such a hot month in tracking. There's something called Half Past Human. Have you heard of them?
In passing, just
they're doing, they do language. They track with web bots all over the internet, basically tracking where a language is going. They've been doing it since '98 with computers and so on, and they were able to chart, like before 9/11, this huge raise in consciousness, that some event was imminent. What they're getting for October is the same thing, only something even more long range in its effect.
Well, I have a tremendous respect for John Peterson. He's brilliant.
All right.
I've known him
so
for
if
some years.
Arlington Institute is suddenly asking for people's dreams and visions about October, why are they doing it?
Marcia is more in touch with John now than I am. He's a computer person.
I understand.
I won't touch the damn thing because, as I told you earlier, I enjoy my privacy. And if you're on the World Wide Web, you don't have any privacy.
Okay,
so anyhow,
I agree with you there. So, but you know him, and here I'm just basically, you're saying this thing is engineered. So what happened in Georgia? What do you know about it?
Oh, it was all engineered.
Okay, so the Russians, were tipped off.
The president of Georgia did what he did just to lure the Russians in.
Right.
And he went in. The Russians could not have ignored him, for God's sake. He invaded one of their little,
So what's the purpose behind it, though? We know what happened, but why?